What's going on, everybody? It's Thursday night here in Central Florida. Hope you guys are doing well, and we're going to start off the show like we do every single night, asking you guys where you're watching from, because I love to see where are people watching from. I love to see people here locally, people that are thinking about moving from somewhere else in the world, and so we already have people checking in. We have Brenda hanging out from St. Charles, Illinois, Pickles checking in from our fellow Detroit fan. We've got Kevin hanging out in Lakeland, Florida, and we got a lot of things talking about as you guys continue to drop in where you guys watching from tonight. We got a lot of things to talk about from the real estate perspective. We've got a Florida man story later on today, which I think is hilarious. We've got a whole bunch of new development that's going on that's been recently approved, which I think is really exciting, and really kind of try to unpack what's going on in our overall market. We've also got some emails last week when we went live. We talked about you could email and or DM us your questions. So we had a bunch of those come through. So I'm excited to kind of continue to take shape in regards to our overall formats as things come along. So we got some more people checking in. We got Johnny checking in from Knoxville, Tennessee. We got Bailey checking in from Orlando. What's going on? UCF Jumper, finally catching alive. Well, what's going on, Pedro? Good to see you. Yasmin checking in from Dr. Phillips, possibly coming to Orlando downtown next March. What's up, Sally? Good to see you. Winston says, what's up, my dog? Always from the Space Coast. We're going to actually talk about the Space Coast as well. Cool. We got a bunch of more people checking in. Stephanie checking in from Simpsonville, South Carolina, as always. And Raphael checking in from Horizon West. What's up, Mitch Allen from Baldwin Park? We're going to talk about your area of town. But let's talk about our first and headline story today, which is like what's going on in the Orlando real estate market. So here's the deal. When I think about over the past 3 months, we entered this year and it looked interesting because we had just come off an election cycle. We had a quarter in Q4 of last year, which was kind of slow overall in terms of number of homes selling. Then we come into the beginning of this year and we had this like glut of listings, and you started seeing TikTok and you started seeing different websites, YouTube as well. Like here, people were talking about, here it comes, this wave of sort of a crash in Florida. Now, there was some people in Florida that had a rough time, especially after all of the hurricanes and that sort of thing. And so I was really paying attention to inventory levels. And we've talked about this before in past shows where we talk about, okay, as inventory climbs, when you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months supply of homes, like we have over here, if you take a look, this is January of this year. We had almost 8 months supply of homes in all different price points, especially as you started getting up over kind of like that $400,000 or $500,000 mark. And so that's indicative of the market really pulling the brakes. And we started seeing builders start putting a lot more incentives. We started just seeing a lot of kind of things in the market to try to push people back to the market. And what it seems as though is that it actually worked, because right now inventory has almost come down in half. Now, I do understand that this is March and this is starting spring season selling and that sort of thing. But when you look at overall pricing, average final price, median sales price, average list price and sales price, all of these things are starting to trend upward. And it just kind of goes to show that like the market is cyclical. It doesn't always go up forever. It does bump up and down. But for the most part, it's really interesting to see how resilient Orlando is. Now, I started pulling data from all different parts of the market. With Southwest Florida, we started looking at Jacksonville, we looked at Pensacola, and some of these markets are starting to struggle and seeing prices pull back. And even here locally in Orlando, we've started seeing some things pull back. But here's some things that I think are bright spots. One, that the inventory levels are just dropping like a rock to where it's really more like a balanced market overall. We want to see something like 3 or 4 months supply of homes is really like an average kind of like healthy market for growth overall. And so I look over here, this is like our 7-day watch that I show my team and our clients all the time. And you see new listings hitting the market at 1753 over the past week. And there were 1,500 pending sales. Now you're still seeing price decreases, although there are starting to see some price increases more and more. And it's just an interesting thing to see. When you look at the national people, you see how the stock market took a dive. And some people think that that's people pulling some money out of the market to then invest in other things. But it's interesting to see overall. So I'm kind of curious to you guys. Let me know in the comments below. Where do you guys feel like we are in the market? Like, you might not do this for a living like we do, but like, I am kind of curious. Do you feel like we're going to see still a massive drop? Are you fearful? Do you feel like now is the time to sell? Now is the time to buy? I'm just kind of curious. And if you do give me a comment, let me know like why. Let's back it up with a little bit of information there as well. Let's go back to some other people watching. We got Josephine checking in from Jersey. What's going on? Spencer hanging in from Mystic Dunes. Good to see you. 4 Seasons. Living the dream as always. McLaughlin's checking in from Ohio. Good to see you. Fallon says, McLaughlin, I escaped Ohio and fled to Orlando. Best best choice ever made. You've got this. That's so awesome. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down below. I am kind of curious what you feel, because I do believe that like we've got a very smart audience, and I would love taking your comments and understanding the overall sentiment in the market. I'm just trying to look at what we see as data and then give you guys facts beyond that. Let's keep talking about some real estate. There's actually a new bill that's going to target out-of-state housing and buyers here in Florida. So this is a state bill 401 from the House bill, saying that they're going to try to take aim at the housing market from multinational investment companies that buy up entire neighborhoods or huge swaths of homes to convert them to permanent rental properties. We've seen this this whole thing pop up over the past, I would say 2 or 3 years, where you see BTR on a sign that means build to rent. And so they're encouraging people, come on in, put your name on a list, and then we're going to sell the entire neighborhood to a national developer. I saw DR Horton do this. I saw Lennar do this. There were a lot of big name, big box builders that were like, hey, we were going to build these. We got these approved in order to sell these to an end user like you guys. And then they say, just kidding. We're actually going to take the entire neighborhood and make this a rental. We're going to sell it off to BlackRock or somebody else that's going to put investor money into this. And so this bill, if it goes through, would actually cause that to not be allowed, which I think is an interesting, basically keep Wall Street out of single family residences. And personally, I think that that's a good thing, especially as we have still a housing shortage in regards to overall new builds in our country. And so the more that we can have kind of opportunity for you kind of people, we don't see those massive jumps in overall pricing. We got Unlisted says, I think the market is going to rise in listings to match the Southwest Florida. I hope that it cuts prices back to a more reasonable price so that people can afford homes. It's interesting, Unlisted. I read this thing over the past week that they say that interest rates, if they hit 5.8, that's apparently the magic number. Let's see. By the way, everybody say hi to Chase Farmer. How you doing over there, Chase Farmer? You gonna show them your face this week? Oh, look at that guy.
There we go.
Producer Chase.
Doing well, Ken. Thankfully, looks like we're having a much better time this week than the last live. So I've been working on it. So
you have been working on it, man. I like this. I like the setup. It lets me like free my hands a little bit. I get to kind of see what's going on. I can be a little bit more cognizant and present with our good people here. So thanks for being here, man.
Of course, of course.
All right, let's see here. Where are we at? So as of, this is just bank rate here. I don't love this website. Let's keep looking. So anyways, the report that I saw today was that basically 5.8 is the magic number where we're going to see people start pulling off of being willing to put their house on the market, and then also sellers or buyers that are willing to not rent anymore and move back into the market to buy. So as of right now, US Bank, I just pulled up their website. It's showing like they're kind of like in the mid to high sixes. I think that's pretty normal when you look at 30-year mortgage. They've got 6.5% interest rates. 15-year is under 6, so it is that magic 5.8. Now your interest rates or your monthly payment's going to be higher on a 15-year mortgage because you're paying it off quicker, more principal that you're going to pay per month. But I think that depending on what goes on with tariffs, with the stock market, with inflation, there's so many moving parts out there. But if interest rates do finally fall to a place where it's affordable for more people, the market doesn't need to crash, like Unlisted said. You know, if it comes down to an affordable number on the interest rates, then I think we're going to see even more of an uptick. Let's see, Katie. So going back to your guys' comments on that, what do they think about the market? Katie says, I do think we'll unfortunately see a price decrease and then hit a level that may remain flat for a little bit. I feel like that we saw that in like Q4, honestly. So I think you're probably your comment is right, but I think we hit it and then bounced. Let's see. Pedro says, I feel a temporary drop, but then a ramp up, especially when roads near Champions Gate 27 become more favorable for travel and it's affordable pricing. Yeah, there's definitely areas in like Osceola County, Polk County that are just a little bit harder to get to. And as infrastructure does finally catch up, you're going to have a lot more people being willing to make the drive to Point Siena and lounge over there in Winter Haven and those kind of things. So Todd says, is the drop in inventory due to more sales or from people taking their houses off the market? Oh, that's a great observation. So here's what I pay attention to. And so if you look at here, for one, pending sales used to be more like 1,100 and now it's like 1,500. So that is more homes selling. It's also less new homes hitting the market. And then you look, so temporary off market or cancel, those are people that decided to, or expired. So I look at these three numbers: expired, temporary off market, and canceled. And I watch those like a hawk. And those have been pretty darn consistent over the past 6 months in regards to roughly 200 to 300 expireds a week, roughly 100 to 200 off market, and then roughly like 300 to 500 canceled, people taking their houses off the market. Exactly what you said, where they just decided, hey, listen, now's not the time. Our house has been on the market for 2, 3, 4 months. Nothing's happened. Let's pull it off. And so you're not wrong, but that's actually happens. That's actually shows a very healthy market. Now, in 2021, there were no expired listings. There were no people canceling their listings. Like literally you listed it, it sold. And so in that case, we saw pricing just continue to go and ratchet up. And so I look at really the new listings and pendings and how close those two numbers are to figure out how healthy of a market we are. All right, let's get back into some more development news. Let's see. Oh, a couple of people. Jake McDaniel says, under contract in Hunters Creek. You the man, Ken. Oh, no, you the man. I'm excited that hopefully we're helping you if that's the case. if you're here watching and you're under contract, hopefully you are. Don says, hey, closing on tomorrow in Del Webb with Kristen in Mineola. That's awesome. Congratulations. I freaking love that neighborhood. Like when you're in Mineola, Del Webb, and you get to look out over Claremont, it's about the only thing close that we have for mountains in Florida in general. And so it feels like you've got that topography. It's beautiful, great gated neighborhood, amazing amenity. Congratulations. Super excited for you. Let's see. Daniel says property management here. Ooh, this is a good one. Many short-term rental owners are looking to get out of their homes. Most of the owners who bought post-COVID and try to cash flow their homes. Daniel, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of people. So when you look at overall inventory and you look at places like Baldwin Park, we're going to talk about that area next, where there's almost no inventory. And conversely to like Reunion or Kissimmee or some of the areas of Davenport, Champions Gate we talked about, they are completely different markets. Because you're right. And the short-term boom, when people were saying, oh, I want to buy a short-term rental because I want to make a ton of money. And unfortunately, they weren't able to. So they're either converting that to a long-term rental or moving over to to sell and try to cash out what equity that they can. All right, Mr. Chase, let's go to the mailbag. What do we got? What do we got first?
Yes, sir. So first question here from Sarah from Denver. She asked, it feels like home prices in Orlando just keep going up. Do you think we'll ever see them stabilize, or is this just the new normal?
Yeah, that's a great one. We kind of just touched on a little bit, right? I think part of it is they went up for so long, then they came down a little bit in some areas. And I do think that they are going to flatline. Now, I think there's a lot of cool opportunities in the Four Corners area along 27, or some of the outliers where pricing are coming down and where the builders are willing to really buy your rate down to a very affordable rate. And so over time, real estate does go up forever, but it does have its dips. And so timing the market, Sarah, is probably the hardest and most impossible thing to do, even when I do this full time. I'm an investor. I own a bunch of properties and I also sell real estate. And yet I have no idea of when to perfectly time the market. All I do know is get in when you can afford. If you can't afford, rent, and wait for the market at time being. So, but before you decide to rent, you say that, hey, listen, I would probably chat with a lender and figure out exactly where I'm at, and maybe talk to a builder and say, hey, if I've got $500,000 to buy a house, what will my monthly payment be if you're willing to kick in? And so we can help you with those relationships and that sort of thing. All right, let's kick off some development news that I am actually quite excited about. So OBJ put out this article, the Orlando Sun redevelopment takes next steps. Now, there's no homes to sell here. This is all just amenity for Orlando, which I think is really cool. And so they go through and talk about that. They finally got the Aventura-based developer was approved for the next steps for redevelop the Osceola County abandoned site. Now, this is what actually it's going to look like right here. This is actually, let me show you actually on the map, because I think that would be more helpful first and foremost. So this is 192. This is I-4 right here. You've got, let's see, that's Wide World of Sports, Disney Springs. There's Epcot, right? Just to give you an idea. So right on this corner right here is this abandoned, you can see this from I-4. It's been an absolute eyesore. If you live in Celebration, which is right here. You have to drive by this thing all the time to get on I-4 and or to get over to Disney. So finally, this is going to be redeveloped into this. And so it's going to be hotel space. It's going to be kind of like a mini Disney Springs. So it's going to have a lot of retail. It will have parking. And it's going to go from this complete eyesore into what it is today, which I'm pretty stoked about. Let's see. I think they've got a little bit more ovation. So the Myers Group is the one building it. Here we go. So here's some of the ideas of what it'll look like. We'll drop the info below once we do show notes later on today.
Isn't this the place that Adam the Woo went to the other day?
Adam the Woo went here?
Yeah, I think he got kicked out.
Shut up. See.
I swear I just saw it up there.
Oh, here we go. Chased out of Orlando Sun Resort in Kissimmee. Do not go to Lonely World. Look at that. Oh my gosh. That's insane, dude. Well, I mean, you ever see that stuff, man? Like, we're like, who's your favorite, what do they call it, urban explorers, where they go into some of these torn down? I know people have gone in there and you can find it on YouTube. Please don't do that. This is not me telling you that you should, because like, horrible idea. But maybe just watch it on YouTube because other people have done it. Some of this stuff is just kind of wild.
Yeah. I feel like there was a period of time there in like before COVID, like 2015 to 2018, where people were going into all sorts of places inside the parks, all around the Orlando area, just breaking into stuff that they should not have been doing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Spencer says that Adam's been there dozens of times. Yeah. That's, it's about to better not get caught in there while they're tearing it down. So wild. All right, let's pop over to the next thing. So Prototype Publix store is coming to Central Florida. Here's what you should know. Upcoming location is going to expand offerings. I love Publix, by the way. I'm there too many times. I'm the guy, believe it or not. My wife, she'll tell you, I'm the shopper in the house. I love going. I've got my certain Publix for certain things. But anyway, so you've got a Prototype Publix store coming to Central Florida, bringing new features. So what are those new features? It says in this particular format, customers are going to enjoy a bigger deli. Like they're going to offer burrito bowls and pizza oven. She says they're also going to be a pours area where customers can go order smoothies and acai. Am I saying that? Acai? I always say that wrong.
Acai,
I think.
Bowls.
Grab a drink and sip while they shop. Wild. I mean, that's cool. So according to Herring, the majority of the stores formats are going to be built in Chain's new Kentucky market, though the company plans to introduce one of these in Polk County. Polk County is a little too far. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but we do have a Lakeland, Florida store under construction that's going to have all of these things. So we will see as these come to Orlando. So let us know in the comments. You know, I know some of you guys are just like Trader Joe's, Whole Foods people, but are you going to take advantage of this? Are you going to dive in to some Publix action? More specifically, unless it says one of those Publix. Let's see. Atlanta has one of these. It's insane. Oh, is that true? Atlanta gets the cool stuff, but I think we do as well. All right. So let's talk about two things here, because I feel like there's quite people asking about Winter Park. They're talking about some of the high-end markets and what are some of the hottest markets. And so I did some digging here after I saw this article by WFTV9. So two of the Orlando zip codes among the hottest in the U.S. market. And those two that they talked about were Baldwin Park and Dr. Phillips. And so I was like, well, what does that actually mean in terms of Baldwin Park? So I jumped over on the MLS here and I was like, this is crazy. Like I already told Chase this and you can see on the screen. So it's like really not a surprise. But before I was like, hey, Chase, how many homes do you think are for sale in all of Baldwin Park? And he guessed like dozens. No, there's 6 homes for sale, single family homes right now. And so if we go back in here, we get rid of, we start adding in everything that's not single family. So add condos, add townhomes. There's still only 21 places for sale, ranging from $599 up to $2.6 million. And so when you look at, again, overall supply and demand, that's why it's one of the hottest. I think the area, let's see, numbers. They looked at days on market. They looked at overall sales price going up, going down. Let's see. So Baldwin Park was number 66th fastest, most, hottest zip code in all of the entire country. Dr. Phillips was number 88. And so let's pull this up here, actually. I'm kind of curious how many places are for sale. 32819. So in all of Dr. Phillips, which is larger than Baldwin Park, there's 190 properties for sale. That's condos, townhomes, and single family. Let's see, just single family. 85. That number seems really low to me. Wow. And there's 23 that actually are under contract. So that means it's like a 4-month supply. Pretty balanced market overall. Interesting. Chase, what else we got from the email box?
Let's take a look here. I'm going to try to switch it up, do something a little bit theme parky here. So let me find, I had a good one here. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. Craig says the reviews coming out of cast member previews at Epic Universe sound incredible. People are comparing Monsters Unchained to the Rise of the Resistance as far as theming goes. What are you most excited for based on what you're hearing?
Yeah, we get to go to a little preview in 4 weeks, three or 4 weeks, end of this March, in March. And I'm so excited. They haven't even told us what we get to see and or do. Like, I hope I get to ride something, but I'm just gonna be stoked to at least see the theming. I'm a huge Potterhead, so like I'm mostly excited about that and seeing the Ministry of Magic in person. But secondarily is definitely the Monsters place. Like, I've heard it multiple times that like people in the previews that have seen it, cast member previews or team member previews, I think they call them, that it's going to be like this generation's Haunted Mansion. Like something that we can actually all take and take in it for a moment. I think that's awesome. And then the whole Rise of the Resistance thing, I've heard that as well. So dude, I'm just so excited for Epic to open up. I think we've got another 2 more months and we're going to be home free, but geez, oh Pete's super stoked. Daniel says pub sub for life. Dude, I have never had a pub sub before.
You've never had a pub sub?
I know. I don't even know if I'm allowed to call myself a Floridian.
I had one for lunch today.
What do you get on it?
It's like boar's head turkey and just like boring stuff. But I will say I've committed the cardinal sin of never having the chicken tender sub. So
Dylan gets that. Dylan on our team is like, he's a big chicken tender. I got to try it. That's it. Yeah. All right. I'm going there.
We'll do it on the next slide.
I'll bring one in and try it out for real. Spencer says, for those who like Chicago-based Potbelly, at the bottom there, Potbelly sandwiches, they just opened a location in Posner Park in Davenport. Interesting.
Have you ever had one of these?
Yeah, they have them in Michigan, where I'm from. So those were not everywhere, but we definitely enjoyed a nice little sandwich and warm soup on a cold day.
They're delicious.
Yeah. All right. Let's go back over to some other stories we got going on here. So Hourglass District, we've been talking about this for a while. This is OBJ. Hourglass District townhome project gets timeline as part of $170 million development. If you're unfamiliar with where this is, let's see if we can't pull this up for you guys. I think the visuals are helpful. What do you think there?
Agreed.
All right, there we go. You got Hourglass Park right here, Lancaster Park. This is Curry Ford right here. And let's see if I'll zoom out a little bit farther for you guys. So like Delaney Park, Wadeview Park, this is where my duplex that I own is, not too far away. And then you've got this strip right here, kind of up and down. We've got Hourglass Brewing right across the street is a few other things. You got Foxtail Coffee. What's this? I forget this one right here. You got the ice cream. Is it Kelly's right there? Crispy cones. All right. Anyway, so this whole strip up and down Curry Ford is what they call the Hourglass District. And so they're now moving on to 36 townhomes in the Hourglass District starting in December, which kind of seems a little bit farther away, actually. But prices for these townhomes are going to be $600 to $700. I do think that based on where this is, like I know there's other ones in Soto for sale that are in that 700, 800, 900 range. And there's other places around there. So depending on how big they're going to be, let's see. Townhomes will be built just north of Curry Ford, where they're just part of the $170 million investments. We believe the neighborhoods surrounding the Hourglass District are very quality neighborhoods. I agree. A lot of the houses, let's see if I can't pull this up, where this is, a lot of the houses up and down here are starting to get refurbed, either torn down or just completely redone. But you've got a lot of older stock of homes in here that are just really nice, and especially around like the lakes and that sort of thing over here. This Kaylee Ave right here has got a lot of opportunity and people that have gone through and redone a lot of these houses. And so I'm excited to see sort of the Hourglass District start to take shape. Let's see, we got a couple people checking in, and let's see, Floro7, what a cool name. I was gonna say, I'm stoked about your name. Thanks for the super chat. It says Ken and crew, any vets if any vets are here, let them know that what a great place Florida is. Big prop tax discounts, state licensing discounts for parks, hunting, fishing, CCW, Disney, tickets, shades of green, and more. Yeah, I totally agree. We deal with a lot of veterans. By the way, thank you for your service. We deal with a lot of veterans here that come here for the VA. Like the Lake Nona VA is like second to none. And there's a lot of people that either come here to work there and or just want to be close by and take advantage of their benefit, which is very exciting. Miami Coffee, check again. What's going on, my friend, down in Miami? Good to see you. What else? Who else we got hanging out? Anybody else that's checked in? You're slow, man. You just got to catch up. We got Ranis checking in from Georgia. He's just trying to keep up with the chat. See, it's hard. I did this for 4 years by myself with no help. That's kind of wild, man. All right, let's pop over here. Next one, our friends Daniel and Jeff of Jeff's Bagel Run fame. I love shouting out local businesses that are crushing it, and Jeff's Bagel Run it's my favorite bagel spot, not just because they're friends, but because the bagels are absolutely awesome. But they've got local market targets new local market as part of a 50-store growth plan. That is just absolutely insane. The company has 90 stores open or under development in 8 states. That's just so freaking cool. So their next place is open in Brevard County, but they're going on, let's see, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Nevada, Texas. I have other friends of mine in the Houston area in Texas that text me and they're like, wait a minute, isn't this your Jeff's Bagel Run? I said, yes, this is my Jeff's Bagel Run, but I hope you enjoy it. And so shout out to Jeff and Danielle. I think it's so cool that you guys are able to expand the way that you are and bring community everywhere you go. So congratulations to you guys. Hey, go back over the chat there. It says Brenda, are you still actively looking for a COO? Again, yes, we definitely are. We've gotten very far down the line with a few different folks, and but we are still continuing. We're still continuing our search there. So thanks for asking. If anybody's looking, shoot me an email or a DM. Let's see let's go back to the other comments here. We got starred. Give me another one, man. Great. Whatever you got, man. Whatever you got.
All right, let's go back to my email questions here.
Email questions. Okay.
All right, let's see what we got over here. I love this one. Okay, because I just want to hear your opinion on this one. So, Molly from Kissimmee asked, if you had $500,000 to invest in Orlando real estate right now, where would you put it?
All right. So I think it's such a loaded question. I invest in areas, obviously, and I typically try to find the more. This is my strategy. And I think you got to figure out what your buy box is. How much work do you want to put into it or not? Some people love buying new construction so that they don't have to touch it and they get to buy something. Like I did this in Lake Nona. We bought a townhome in a great area that we believed in. This is like the Laureate Park area. And I love the idea that I could buy it. It cash flowed on day one and I didn't have to touch it probably for the next 10 years. Like we get HVAC maintenance every once in a while or every year, but then I'm good. But really where you're going to make the long-term is going to be the appreciation and the value add that you can do. So if you're looking at in some of those areas, the Hourglass district's a great one. There's a lot of other areas in the downtown corridor where I believe that all of the new development coming is going to be a value add. And so if you can buy something and maybe it needs a little bit of love, it needs flooring and kitchens and baths that you can do either over time or right at the purchase. I think those are great places to invest for the future. I think it gets a little tougher when you start looking only at if your budget's 500 and you're like, well, let me get the biggest box I can. And so you start going a little bit farther out. And that's, I think, where a lot of people are getting caught right now, where if you did go, I think Winter Haven's great, but there's some spots in between Winter Haven and Orlando that had a lot of new construction that people were buying. And those are typically the first ones to see a drop because there's so much of a glut with not a lot of demand. And so if you look in areas like a Winter Park or a College Park or a Soto, and there's just professional people that are constantly looking to move there, potentially rent, people moving to Orlando, just trying it out for a while before they commit to buy, all those kind of things. And so if I'm you have to decide what kind of buyer you want to be, figure out what your buy box is. Is it going to be, I'm going to invest in an area that I believe in, new construction or resale, and then get after it. How was that, Chase?
I think that was fantastic.
Thanks, man.
Fantastic.
It's almost like I do this for a living.
Yeah, almost. You want me to just keep throwing more stuff at you? Or?
I got a couple more stories, and we'll get back to the mailbag.
Okay.
All right. So Pulte planning nearly 1,300 lot community in New Smyrna Beach. This is from our friends over at Growth Spotter. Came out just today. So 1,300 that's a ton of houses, by the way. I mean, and these are going to be 40 to 64 foot lots, and they're going to be, this is Pulte. Yeah, Pulte is going to be the sole home builder of this community. It's going to be west of 95 and south of 44, and it's going to consist of 1,277 single family lots, and kind of going out from there. It's interesting. We don't actively go try to crush New Smyrna. This is like, it's 50 minutes away. It's like an hour or so away from us, but like we just don't spend a ton of time there. But here's, I was actually looking, we did a video today around like how close beaches are and some other stuff to Orlando, because if you look over here, when you get off the plane at MCO and you're going to get your car, there's all of these billboards everywhere that say beachesoforlando.com, which, Chase, if I said to you, Beaches of Orlando, what you thinking?
There's not one.
There's no one. It's like Evermore, I guess. Like, I don't know. It's like fake beaches. But anyway, so going over here. So I started looking, okay, so it's St. Pete and Clearwater. Okay, those are 2 hours from Orlando. And then I was looking at like, okay, then what else is actually closer to Orlando that people could actually take advantage of? And so Cocoe is like the one that always comes to mind. But it's very touristy. I know some people absolutely love it, but let's see from where we're at. Let's see. Let's drop a little pin. We're at here in Orlando. Just put it in the city. Let's see. I think this is going to be rush hour or just after rush hour. Let's see. It's still an hour. That's not bad, dude. I mean, to get to the beach. But the number one thing, I polled actually a lot of our past clients and say, like, where do you go enjoy the beach? They said number one was New Smyrna, which is why this is full circle. See, I'm weaving this together there, Chase. So New Smyrna right now is also, let's see, add a stop. No, we're going to get rid of this. Drop pin. New Smyrna. Boom. How far away are we? Oh, let's get rid of this. I don't know. It's really weird. New Smyrna Beach. There we go. Directions from Orlando. From the center of Orlando, because I hate when people are like, that's not Orlando. 57 minutes. Obviously a much different way. They're going to take I-4 north, and then you're going to jet out over onto 95. But an hour to the beach, right? And 2 beaches that are super popular. In my opinion, these are the beaches of Orlando, because if you can get there within an hour, heck, Orlando is an hour from Orlando. And so if you can get to the beach within an hour, I think that makes sense. So let us know in the comments. Chase, let's pull up here what other people are talking about in terms of beach. Spencer says Evermore, that is, Evermore's beach is freaking off the charts. It really is. It's gorgeous. If you guys don't know, now I got to show them. Keep going. Well, anybody else? What's your favorite Florida beach?
You asking me?
Oh, just in general, asking the good people.
Yeah, asking the good people.
The good people of YouTube. All right, here, I'll show this is, if you guys don't know, this is what Evermore looks like. And so they've got this man-made crystal lagoon. The thing is, it's gorgeous. Like, I mean, this looks like a rendering, and yet that's just a photo. I mean, it looks like you're on the beach, and this is quite literally, let's see, Evermore. This is Evermore Resort. Then you got 535 right up here, and then it turns into like Disney, like you're right there. So yeah.
It's so big that I don't even think you can swim in a large portion of it. I think you can only like take the kayaks and boats across a big.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Right here?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that right there, like you aren't allowed to swim.
Oh, that's a good question. We should look it up.
I'm pretty sure.
And ask. But yeah, I mean, the amenities are great. You got the Conrad Hotel there. You've got obviously the villas. They've got it set up sort of very Airbnb-like. I remember I actually talked about this 3 years ago when it was announced, and they were talking about there were going to be Airbnb homes. I thought they were going to be for sale, and I'm like, oh man, these things are going to sell for millions of dollars. And the developer said, no, actually, we're just going to keep them. And so now you can rent out a villa, you can rent out a flat, or stay at the Conrad. It's a really cool thing, and you got golf and all the other kind of stuff there. Or you can drive an hour to New Smyrna, and that's kind of an interesting thing as well. Let's go over the comments, man. Pick a comment out here. If I told you my favorite Florida beach, it would become too crowded. Oh, man, come on. Don't gatekeep. It's just you and a couple hundred friends just chatting about beaches. Let's see. With current interest rates, which is a better value, new build versus a more established home, specifically Winter Garden or Horizon West? That is a great question. So it really comes down to the seller's motivation. So the builders right now are almost all willing to give you some sort of closing cost credit and buy down your rate. And so if you're able to knock 2 points off your rate and you're going to stay in the house a long time, then that might be it, right? And so for some people, taking the money off is actually going to be a better option for you than just buying down the rate. And so you have to kind of weigh both options to figure out apples for apples. But that doesn't mean that some sellers wouldn't be willing to do the same exact thing. So if you see a house that's listed for $600,000, $700,000, $800,000, and you go in and say, hey, we'll give you what we're asking or what you're asking, but we want X amount of dollars. And our lender told us that it would be 15 grand or 18 grand to buy down the rate a little bit. If you're rate sensitive or monthly payment sensitive. And so I don't think you should rule out pre-existing homes, although there are a lot of new construction. And again, almost every builder is going to give you an incentive. And so that's almost on lock. And then your time frame has to do with a lot with it as well. Some builders have stopped doing ground up kind of stuff. They're trying to be more speculative and build now and sell homes only that way. Other ones are still not doing any specs and they're only doing ground up. And so there's so many options there. But I will say, like, really, it's apples to apples in regards to, you can do the same thing with sellers to buy down your rate. And that's a fantastic question. Thoughts on Ocoee in terms of new development and redevelopment? Brett, what's going on, man? So it's funny. I just talked to the developer of the new $1 billion development that's happening over there in Ocoee. And I think that's actually going to change. Let's see. It's not a resort. There we go. Youth complex. So this is what's coming. And this thing is going to be pretty impressive. When I look at, so Ocoee leaders discuss proposed $1 billion youth sports complex. From what I understand, it is moving forward. I actually talked to the developer. They have good financing behind it. They've got a really clear head on their shoulders. And now that I fully understand it, actually, he's going to be coming on the pod soon to talk about this. And so he was saying to me, like, hey, because if you have youth sports, and it's many times it's over at Disney, Wide World of Sports. It's very expensive. But what if we could have a world-class place where it's a destination not too far from Disney that both the locals could use? So people in Horizon West, Windermere, Ocoee, Apopka, like all of those people would want to flock here. And you have people from out of the state, out of the country that want to come in and use the space as well. So they're going to have a hotel there, going to have retail. I think as this goes forward, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on Ocoee. And so that's a very positive thing in the future. So obviously, invest, every invest takes risk, blah, 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 blah. I'm sure there's like a disclosure I should put here. But if this moves forward, and it does look like it is going to move forward, I think it's a great opportunity for investment. So it's awesome. Thanks for, looking forward to y'all talking about it. Yeah, we are as well. Why don't you go back to the mailbag, man, if you have any more. How many more do we have over there?
We got a ton. I can keep you going forever.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right. Let's see here. This is all right. Chris asks, with all these new developments like O-Town West, Westcourt, and the Intercontinental Project, what part of Orlando do you think is going to see the biggest boom in the next 5 years?
Oh gosh. Well, some of those areas are like downtown areas where you see like Westcourt is downtown. I think that's gonna result in more like businesses. So from like a business investment, retail investment, stuff to do right near the Kia Center. You've got the Travel and Leisure next door to that. I think they're going to have, that will be a bit of a boom over the next 10 years as that comes out. But in regards to like a residential area, again, I think that as the market contracts, the more hot areas, the winter parks, the winter gardens, the stuff that's already built out, it contracts and then expands in regards to the opportunity. And so I look at, like, if we've already, contracted a little bit, the next one to boom would be like the Claremont stuff still. Like, I think that as actually, speaking of which, another podcast we have got coming on Monday is the developer that's over Olympus project in Claremont. And so when I look at those areas, like a small contraction, and then as things boom back out, Claremont seems to be like the next easy one. And I know some people think that, oh, it already had its boom. I think it becomes the next Horizon West plus. The county is super pro development in regards to like what they want to see happen. It's easier to develop in Lake County than it is Orange County, from what all the developers tell me. So I think that's going to be a really like easy one. I do think St. Cloud is like that sleeper because there's so many big developments and like big things where it still is affordable. Like I know people hate hearing the idea that 400 or 450 is affordable, but in today's market, it is. And so I look at like some of those neighborhoods where you can still get a really nice house in the like 500 range, new construction, and there's plenty of roads coming in to support the growth in the future. So I think like, yeah, that Claremont, St. Cloud, those are the two that jump off the paper for me.
Agreed. You want another one?
Give me another one.
All right. So this one was from Instagram. So it's kind of two questions here.
Okay.
So Nariz says, as someone who invests in real estate, what areas would you suggest would be great for long-term and short-term rentals like Airbnb? So suggestions for long-term rentals and for short-term rentals.
I think I answered some of the long-term rental stuff already, but let's pivot back over to the short-term rental stuff. So actually, before we came here, we use this program called AirDNA, and if you want to show the good people here, so I pulled this up. This is actually Windsor Hills. I think this is really interesting, guys. So there are some areas that Airbnb makes sense in regards to this idea that if you buy a place because you want to have somebody help offset the costs and you want to break even, those markets still very much so exist. It's where many people are like, I want to buy it for an investment and I strictly want to do an investment and I want to make a ton of money. I don't believe that those are here right now. Maybe there are other markets, but they're not, not here. So I look at some areas like where's the occupancy stuff fairly strong? What's the average daily rate? So this is like one that I still love. I've talked about this neighborhood for quite some time, but Windsor Hills, it's a gated neighborhood. You've got, let's see, you got Margaritaville's right next door, but I want to show you guys where this is. Animal Kingdom is literally right there. So you can jump on 429 back to Western Way. You got everything that's going on in 192. If there was a really nice area of 192, this is it. You've got like the Nickelodeon Hotel kind of going right over here. A lot of like medical stuff coming in right here. I think this is like a $1.5 billion development going into the west of 429. And so going back over to this community, how's this sub-market performing? It's got a 98% score. And so like, I love that neighborhood. There's still plenty of other ones within Central Florida that you can do that. But again, going back to that mindset of like the contracting market where you want to go to, and then an expanding market. So in a contracting market, like where I'm talking about the map here, right? So if Disney and downtown and Lake Nona and some of the more popular Winter Park, if that's in that bubble when things contract where it's still popular, that neighborhood is why it's doing so well, because it's 5 minutes from Disney and still kind of affordable. And in that neighborhood, you've got condos, townhouses, you've got single family properties that were built in the mid 2000s. Many of them have been redone and have value add opportunity as well. And so there's a few of those around here. We can kind of help guide you. But if I'm you, I wouldn't be going as far away as you can just to save 50 grand when you're going to have no occupancy because nobody wants to make the drive to get to Disney and Universal. There we go. All right. New Jersey resident said, I'm looking to purchase a second home in a golf community close to Disney that will not be a rental when I'm there, but maybe used by my friends. Any recommendation? Yeah, golf communities close to Disney. My favorite's probably Keens Point and Windermere. Here, let me just kind of log in here. I'll show you what some of the houses are. Keens Point's great. It's right off of 535. It's gated. It's golf community. They've got plenty of like different types of homes as well. I mean, obviously golf community near Disney is going to be a little bit more expensive to begin with. Celebration is a golf community. You can have your golf cart. There's plenty of people that literally don't have cars. They use it for their second home. They Uber to the house and then use their golf cart while they're there because you can go to all the retail and all the other kind of stuff. So there's definitely a lot of options. I'm trying to think of other golf cart communities that are close to Disney. There are parts of Horizon West, wildly enough, that have like golf cart meetups. Like people really go hard after that kind of stuff. But if you're talking specifically like golf course communities, golf carts in there as well, I think Keens Point's great. Celebration obviously has the golf community as well. Those are the two that jump off for me as well. Yeah, give me a comment. That's like we got a ton of star comments there. What's Margie say there? Lake Baldwin, VA, and we have small Navy exchange with barbershop. Can buy tickets for discount at Disney and Universal. Did you know that? That's good. That's good intel. Thanks, Margie. Winston says, "Hey Ken, you must talk about the SpaceX Gigafactory being built on the Space Coast." I do. Hold on. Don't just find the. From what I understand, it's like 4 times the size of the one in Texas. Hold on. Winston always coming in clutch with the hold on, bro. He said Gigafactory, right?
Yes.
SpaceX.
I mean, I saw stuff about it. I mean, I think we talked about it a little bit online.
Yeah, so I know there was a huge one. The undocumented. Yeah, it's like I'm actually have somebody on the coast that's been feeding me a little information. So I didn't want to go out with a story about it today. But yeah, there's been like massive. It's somebody told me that it's like 3 to 4 times the size of the one that's in Texas. Which, if that's the case, like that's going to be absolutely massive.
Yeah, we got to get out there to one of these things.
Right. We got to get on their media list. Why are we not on their media list?
I think we tried. We'll get it figured out. We'll get it figured out.
Florida. Here we go. SpaceX. There we go. SpaceX is building a massive Starship facility in Florida. Calls it a gigabay. Let's see. If you were doubting SpaceX commitment to make I love this. If you're doubting SpaceX commitment to make life multiplanetary in the not so distant future, then this is a piece of information that you should put all of your doubts and fears away. So if you're reading this, SpaceX is putting together nearly early iterations of the rocket and spacecraft that should make Mars accessible to all of us, and they're calling it the Mega Bay. Holy crap. So the new facility will provide 11 times the square foot for working space than the current building, 19 additional work cells. SpaceX hopes that the factory will allow it to build Starship spacecraft with super heavy rockets and measure 266 feet tall when they're put together. Well, there you go. Thanks, Winston. Awesome information. Let's see how far, by the way, for people curious, how far away is this? 57 minutes. This is not far away from where we're at. Actually, what's wild, Chase, is the amount of people. This is like become a new, not a new phenomenon, but like since I've moved here, I've helped a lot of people sell. And when I first moved here, it was like I could see Disney fireworks, and like, they would be always talking about right here, you could see Disney fireworks, and we still get that. But the number one thing people tell me now is like, if you stand right here, you can see SpaceX take off in the distance. And it's like, it's a weekly occurrence now. It's sometimes multiple times a week.
So I've seen them from my house, right? And we live in the Flamingo Crossing area.
Yeah.
I see them all the time. We were driving home the other day through Horizon West over to Flamingo, and I looked up and I thought it was like a comet or something, but it was another launch. And I can see them from my house. If I go outside and I stand on the street, I can see them take off from my house.
Dude, it's like the first time I remember, I thought it was something like bad happened. The first time I saw one take off at night, I was at Epcot and I was like, oh my God, is that a plane that like, I don't know. Like I was very curious what was going on. But yeah, like it's so cool to see. All right, let's see. Somebody asked, let's see here. That's a question about rentals in terms of like the like the high end market. And it made me curious actually. Let's see. So how's the high end home rental market? $15,000 a month in like Orlando and Winter Park. And so I just looked up, just kind of curious, even just like $10,000 a month. We've got 9 currently active. You got some in Isleworth. You've got a couple in Winter Park. Let's see what this looks like. Whew. House is gorgeous. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, my rental property is literally right here. Like it's definitely not $10,000 a month, but it's and not on the lake, but it's like right around the corner. That's so funny. So this is $15,000 a month, 3 bedroom, 4 bath, built in 2019. This house is gorgeous on Lake Killarney. But let's see that doesn't tell you how things are doing though. Let's see how many have actually leased in the past 6 months. 7. So not a huge market for it in those areas. And now there's like plenty of areas around Central Florida that have 20, 30, I've seen $40,000 a month places in like Golden Oak and some other places like that. But in terms of overall pricing with that, yeah, you just don't see a ton. All right, let's go back to the mailbag.
Alrighty, sir. I got a few more here. Let's go theme parky again. Cool. So with Epic Universe opening soon, do you think Disney will do a 5th park in the future? And do you think they could sustain a 5th park? What would it be themed to?
So, man, last year when the state was settling so much stuff with Reedy Creek, which is now the Central Florida Tourism Oversight, whatever, those guys need to call me back so that we can have a good conversation on the podcast. That would be fun. When they were settling what their actual master plan was going to be, they did set aside the option for a fifth park. Now, do I think it's going to happen? I don't. Not anytime soon. Like maybe one day, but I think their response to Epic is to make the original parks better. When you've got Villains Land and Cars coming, and you've got all of these other things happening in response to Epic Universe. Bob Iger said this maybe a year ago, was like, hey, we've known that they were working on Epic for a long time. Our response is to make our own parks a little bit better and bigger and expansive. And I think that's where they're probably going to leave it for now. You've got Animal Kingdom is going to be, they shut down Dino Land, and that's going to get redone. There's a lot of those kind of things that hopefully will draw more eyeballs. Here's the question for you, Chase, in terms of all that. The parking situation at Magic Kingdom. I saw this on Twitter, X, whatever you call it, a lot over the past week, where people were saying like the parking situation is already tougher. It'd be really great to have a second option to get out of Magic Kingdom, kind of back in that Villains Land where Big Thunder Mountain currently is. What do you think?
Honestly, man, so the other day I went to the park, and I think in general, if you're a local, you know that like if you want to do a one stop at night or in the evening, and you're like, oh, I just want to hop into the park for a little bit and get out of there, you're never going to Magic Kingdom. That is a trek. You're going to park your car, you're going to take the monorail or the boat, and then you got to make it all the way in. I mean, it could take an hour sometimes just to get out of there. So I think that'd be great. Like Epcot has the back entrance over there.
Well, that's exactly what they mentioned. They're like, Epcot has two entrances. Why couldn't we do this with Magic? Well, I know most people are parking at the TTC, so then it becomes like, what are you going to do? Add another monorail stop and then get people back around? I don't really know how they would even make that work.
I don't know either.
But it's a process, bro. Like, and you know what? Like, the more you think about that, the more you think like that they probably have that by design. Like,
it's got to be.
They want to get you there and then hope you just get too tired to leave.
Yep. We actually walked all the way around through the new Poly Resort and everything the other night, and it was like, took us like an hour, but it was nice, and I didn't have to deal with all the massive crowds at the end of the night.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I don't know. We'll see. All right. So somebody mentioned over here, they said, what do you think about Lake Mary in terms of real estate? Let's see, where are they at? Maybe scroll. No, it's down below. All right. What do I think about Lake Mary in regards to overall real estate? There we go. And you say his name, Anutz? Melody Garage. Yeah, there we go. And so listen, there's actually a lot of cool things going on in the Lake Mary all the way up through Maitland area that I'm actually really excited about in terms of just jobs. Like NY Bellin Bank. Yeah, they're bringing like 1,100 people up that way. There's a lot of more like corporate finance jobs happening up that way. And so when I think about like, for one, it is, if you're not a tourism fan, it's totally fine. Like you can go up there, you're 40 minutes away from everything. But the houses are beautiful. There's a lot of great neighborhoods. You're not too far away from like Winter Park and some of the other areas for shopping and food and all that good stuff. I'm really bullish on that whole area. In fact, we're actually doing a video on Ocoee Lakes tomorrow, and kind of like the surrounding neighborhoods and like what's going on out there, because I do think that like long term you're going to have some of the more estate size houses and some of like the outlying areas that are going to do really well, and the more high paying jobs that are there outside of the tourism industry, the better, right? I think like Lake Nona has a ton with KPMG, the accounting firms, like all the other stuff going out there. That's why Lake Nona is doing really well. But then you start going up north, that's just like a really safe investment long term, I believe. Can I start one of my story that I brought?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you are. You know what, Ken? You actually run the show.
Oh, that's right. Oh, thanks, man. So this one, we're gonna call this segment Florida Man. So I saw this and just blew me away. I did a double take. It's like Florida man jailed after swallowing $769,000 of stolen Tiffany earrings. So my man went to Mall of Millennia. He went to the Tiffany store, and he said that he was actually representing an Orlando Magic player, and they set him in a private room, and he grabbed 2 pairs of earrings and then fled the store. And then by the time that he could get caught, he said that he swallowed them basically. And so then it says here, Gilder reportedly asked the jail staff, am I going to get charged with what's in my stomach? Like, what a move, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm like thinking in my head, okay, I'm going there trying to get the earrings. You get caught. And then your first thought is like, I'm just going to swallow them. And maybe they didn't see, but apparently all the cameras saw it. They x-rayed them. Sure enough, it's inside. That's Florida, man. Florida man. What do you think about that?
It would have been a good play. He didn't really have to tell anybody that he swallowed them. He could have just been like, oh, I don't even know, man. I dropped them. I lost them. They're earrings, they can get lost easy.
That's some Florida man stuff. Although it does say, I think he's from, like they said, Washington County Jail, which I don't even know where Washington County is, but Florida man jail. There we go. All right. Florida man, be Florida manning. That is for sure. We got it. Unlisted said, how much is your rent in your Winter Park home? We're currently asking $3,600 a month. It's like 2,700 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. It's a great location. Oh, this is a great one from Philip Martin. What are my thoughts around Canadian snowbirds and their impact on our Central Florida market? Listen, UK and Canada and Brazil are our biggest imports in regards to tourism and second homeowners. And so obviously with the tariffs and everything going on, it will be interesting to see what happens. Now I know, there's things change every single day with all that tariff conversation. I know that I'm getting ready to list a couple of homes for past clients that live in Canada that they're like, hey, I think now just based on the overall dollar conversion, like it actually does make a lot of sense for us to sell. So it has nothing to do with them not being willing to come here. It's just that they bought it pre-COVID and they made a bunch of money and now's a good time to take some money home. But no, I haven't really seen a ton. And frankly, I've been going to theme parks and they're busier than I've seen them in months. So yeah, anyways, do we have any other email? Coming up on an hour here.
We got a couple more here. Let's try to knock out a couple more. So
Daniel says, diamonds are forever.
I love it. Also, Superstars, we are using StreamYard. So we're using OBS and then using StreamYard. So I'm controlling everything through OBS and then sending it off to StreamYard. But let's see what we got here. I got 2 more for you. So first off, we got Matt from Atlanta, and he says, I've heard people say Orlando will be the next Austin. Do you think that's true? And what would need to happen for that to be the case?
So I think, okay, so Austin, the mothership of our main company, Keller Williams, is in Austin. And I've been there a ton, and I've been there a lot since 2010, and I've gotten to see the growth of that area and what's changed. And so there's a lot of jobs there. Google, Apple, SpaceX is there. There's like a lot of really big companies that are there. And because of that, it went from this sleepy sort of like music town to where now you have people from, especially throughout COVID, you had a lot of people leaving California, going to Texas, and a lot of them living in Austin. And so that it was hyperinflation, even more so than it was here. And since then, the prices have actually dropped like 20% since the peak. And so, so that all being said, like, do I think Orlando has the opportunity to attract jobs like that? Maybe not the Googles and the Apples, but I think the second tier kind of stuff for sure. And we're already seeing it. And then as that happens, then hopefully bigger and better kind of comes about it. Orlando's a sleeping medium-sized city. And I think it is very, very similar to an Austin in regards to like the type of people and what we have here. They had music and the food scene. We have the theme park scene and access to a lot more than they do, I think, because we have access to the coasts and a lot of other kind of cool things with major cities really close to us, very similarly the way that Austin has Houston and Dallas and San Antonio not too far from them. So I think they're very, very similar cities. Do I think that we're going to see the hyper growth beyond that like they did? Only if we land some of those bigger employers. Linique says, BNY Mellon, thank you. And that I got him a job. I got you a job? Is that what you're reading to, Chase?
I'm reading it as, do you have a job for me?
You got me a job?
Like, you got me a job?
I don't know, man. Like, I don't even know what you do, but like shoot me a line, go to our careers page on our website. Let me know what you do.
Just in regards to that question, I like what Spencer said here. Austin is the next Orlando. So like we got so much going on over here. And whenever I read it, it's like, I see, right? Like, I feel like most people are moving here from, or most people are moving to either Florida or Texas. I feel like that's where people are going to, right? So I feel like we're kind of in line with that, and Orlando is similar in that way,
Yeah, I'm obviously very bullish on Orlando. I ain't going anywhere, and I'd rather be here. It says, no, you got me a job from BNY. No kidding.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, you want your last question?
DM me, man, about it. I want to kind of curious. It says, you mentioned it while I was in college. Dude, that is so cool.
Sick.
Sick. Yeah, I love it.
Cool.
Congrats, man. And I applied, and now I'm there. That's so good, man. Oh, congratulations. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm kind of curious on how it's going and everything that I know they're investing a lot in infrastructure and people. So I'm just kind of curious for sure. All right, man, hit me with one more question.
All right, this is your final question. Okay. I should turn on the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire music. Ken, you've been in Orlando for years now and have experienced so much of what the city has to offer, but is there anything you still haven't done that would surprise us?
Well, I haven't had a pub sub. I said that. I admitted that earlier. I've actually still never been to Legoland.
Funny enough, see, I was wondering what you would say.
Is that Orlando? I mean, it is. I think it's close enough.
It's close enough. What I want to see is I want to get you strapped in with like one of those POV cameras that's looking directly at you, and I want to send you to medieval times.
I've been to medieval times. What are you talking about?
Never mind.
We did the VIP experience.
I was like so confident that that was going to be one that you were like,
okay, medieval times is like, okay, listen, the acting, the horses, but the food is actually really good. And like the chalices they give you for beer are like maybe this big. I don't know. It's too much, but I had a lot more water than anything. But like the food was actually surprisingly awesome.
Yeah, it is actually pretty good. I need to go again. It's been a minute for me. Man, I really thought I had you with that one. Man.
So stinking close. Listen, I think we broke the record in terms of people watching live. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the new format. Chase, thanks for hanging out. And by the way, if you're looking to buy or sell a house anywhere in Central Florida, we'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. So make sure you reach out at the orlandoreal.com/YouTube to get started. And it's never too early to start out. I know a lot of people are watching from all over the world, and they do reach out sometimes years in advance so that we can help kind of guide your path. That's what we're here for. But thanks, guys. Hope you have a wonderful evening. Thanks.